You look dazzling.
Sergio.
They say nobody believes in curses until they wind up living under one. Just ask the cast and crew of these movies that I'm going to talk about. Just kidding, you can't, because they're dead from a curse.
You're gonna die in there! All of you!
For example, Atuk is a hilarious fish-out-of-water screenplay about an Eskimo who comes to New York. It was never filmed, however, because people in Hollywood just don't know a good thing when they see it. Oh, and also it killed John Belushi. Belushi had read the script and was interested in the role when he died of a drug overdose in 1982. Well, that doesn't mean anything, right? Well, after Belushi's death, the lead role went to comedian Sam Kinison.
I just love women!
Numerous problems delayed production. Kinison demanded parts of the movie be rewritten, and production was halted. A few years passed, the script remained cursed, and Kinison died in a car crash. The curse had struck again. The film's lead role was then passed to John Candy in 1994. Candy took the script, completely unaware that it was cursed, and promptly died of a heart attack.
Wow.
The screenplay was buried in Hollywood somewhere, and all chubby comedians swore to stay clear of the film for good. Oh, except for Chris Farley, who in 1997 was also in talks for the lead role when he died of a drug overdose.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
Speaking of people killed by the supernatural, consider Superman. The Superman curse has cast a number of misfortunes on people involved in the Superman franchise over the decades, from super career ruin to super death. First, there's George Reeves, who played Superman in the 1950s TV series Adventures of Superman. He was found dead in 1959 of a single gunshot wound to the head.
Can I shoot you?
The death was ruled a suicide, but his fingerprints were never found on the gun, so unless he shot himself with his feet, which would admittedly be pretty superheroic, I guess, he was probably murdered. Then, of course, there's Christopher Reeve. Eerily similar surname, eerily similar bad luck. After success in 4 Superman films, he was thrown from his horse in 1995, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down, and once again reminding us that horses are a terrible mode of transportation.
But anything can happen to anybody.
Slightly less severe misfortune landed on Richard Pryor, who was later diagnosed with MS. Then you have Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane, who suffered from bipolar disorder, and Marlon Brando, who played Jor-El, who withdrew from society and dedicated himself to becoming the weirdest, fattest man on Earth.
Darling.
On the outer edges of the cursed zone, we've got various actors who starred in Superman adaptations and had their careers die on them right afterwards. Dean Cain, who played Superman in Lois and Clark, is one example. Although those who don't believe in the curse often point out that Cain's co-star, Terry Hatcher, later went on to star in the long-running TV show Desperate Housewives. But most screwed of all, Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, who created one of the country's most beloved superheroes while under contract to DC Comics, and were subsequently completely screwed out of any royalties for decades. Oh, and according to an inside source, that is a since-deleted entry on Wikipedia, in 1963, John F. Kennedy's staff approved of a Superman story in which the hero touts the president's physical fitness initiatives, and it was scheduled to be published with an April 1964 cover date. But on November 22nd, Kennedy was shot and killed, so let's just move on before we're taken out. So everyone who appeared in the Poltergeist trilogy is now dead. Okay, that's not true. Nancy Allen is still alive, although her career is dead. What is true is that 4 of the trilogy's actors all died within 6 years of the first movie. First was child actor Heather O'Rourke, who appeared in all 3 films and died just before the 3rd film was released. Suffering what was thought to be the flu, she was taken to the hospital and later died on the operating table from complications. Then, Julian Beck, who played the terrifying old man in Part 2, died of cancer, while Native American actor Will Sampson died during an operation. Then we have Dominique Dunn, who played the oldest child in the first film, who was strangled to death by her boyfriend the same year the film was released. So what did the filmmakers do to supposedly piss off the spirits? Well, they used real human remains as props in the first Poltergeist movie. You know, the movie about how desecrating the remains of the dead angers their spirits. Oh, and speaking of angering the spirits, no film in history has had worse luck than The Omen. Hell, nothing in history has had worse luck than The Omen. During filming, scriptwriter David Seltzer's plane was hit by lightning, as was star Gregory Peck's, as was executive producers Mace Neufeld's. Luckily for all of them, lightning doesn't strike twice, but no it does. IRA bombings. A hotel Neufeld was staying at during production was bombed by the IRA, as was a restaurant the director and actors were scheduled to eat at. Luckily luckily no one died. An assistant to special effects consultant John Richardson, on the other hand, wasn't quite as lucky. On Friday the 13th of August 1976, Richardson crashed his car in Holland. His assistant was sliced through by the car's front wheel. Scrambling out of the wreckage, Richardson looked up and saw a road sign that said Omen, 66.6 kilometers. And then one of the film's tiger handlers died. Gregory Peck's son shot himself, and a plane scheduled for use in the film, which was rescheduled and used for a commercial flight instead, crashed and killed everyone on board. We're not saying that we believe in curses, we're just saying that we should probably stop making movies about Satan.